Hey y'all, what's going on? It's DIY Alex and I am back with another episode of my Cricut Maker Series. And today we are going to be cutting vinyl and I'm going to be sharing with you some tips that I like to use when cutting vinyl on my Cricut Maker in Cricut Design Space. So before we jump into this video, let me check the chat and make sure you guys can hear me okay and see me okay and all of that good stuff, and then we will get right into it. I'm going to be checking from my iPad today, so hopefully this works well. Hey everyone, I'm glad you're here. Hi Kristen, Happy New Year. Oh, weird. Kristen said when she clicked the link for her phone notification, it had been removed before it even started. Oh, that's so strange. Well, I hope that everyone can hear and see okay. I'll double check that before I get too far into it because I don't want you guys to not be able to hear me or see me. Yeah, our New Year was pretty quiet too. We were just here at home. It's just me and my husband hanging out. And it was fun, but we didn't, do anything too crazy or anything. We had just gotten home from my in-laws not too long before that. So we were just kind of recovering from Christmas and enjoying the football and all the things. Hey, Lindy. Hey, Catherine, welcome. Hey, Renee. Hi, Krista. Welcome, you guys. You know, it wouldn't be another live video if your girl wasn't a hot mess. And I'll tell you what, I'm definitely a hot mess. Getting started back to work after the new year always messes me up a little bit. But I have to tell you guys, this might be the most hot mess I've been yet. I just kind of don't know what's going on. I don't know what day it is. I don't know what time it is, which is why I'm spontaneously doing a live. And I'm going to let you guys make a lot of the decisions with me because I literally didn't make them in advance like I normally do. Good. You can hear and see. Good deal. I'm so glad. Okay, perfect. Oh, interesting. Okay, Kristen. Thanks for letting me know. I'm glad you guys can hear and see and all that stuff. Hi, Holly. Welcome. Hey, Rebecca. Hi, Katie. Hey, Jill. And Tracy. Good. Okay, well, now, actually, let me explain my thoughts behind this video, and then we really will get into it. So we started off my Cricut Maker Series just a couple of days after Christmas with cutting HTV on your Cricut Maker. And I debated on doing a video on cutting vinyl on your Cricut Maker only because it is typically very straightforward. So this is very much a beginner video. So hopefully that's okay with some of those of you who have been around the block a while. You might already know a lot of this information. I don't feel like there's a ton of nuance to it. But I also kind of felt like in a Cricut Maker series, I wanted to make sure that I cover everything, including cutting vinyl and HTV, because those are kind of the basics, right? But as we progress through the Cricut Maker series, I definitely have plans to specifically talk about the Cricut Maker tools. That's a lot of what I meant when I said a Cricut Maker series. We're going to be talking about the very special tools that only the Cricut Maker can use. So we are going to dive in deep to that, but since I had an HTV episode, I thought, well, it'd be kind of silly if I didn't talk about vinyl at least a little bit. But like I said, for those of you who are not beginners, you're probably going to know all this information. But hey, I figured that it can't hurt. And because we are cutting vinyl in this video, I'm actually going to cut it with you live. I have my project teed up in Cricut Design Space, but I am going to cut it with you live. So you'll get to see the whole process, totally unedited. Good deal. I'm glad you guys are down for a refresher. Good. Lindy said, have only used my Cricut once for a practice sticker. I need loads of these lives. Well, good. I'm glad that we're doing this then, and I'm glad that that works for you because I just think it's a good thing. I would hate to skip over something and you guys are like, well, hey, where's the vinyl tutorial? You know what I mean? Good deal. Ooh, Renee says she has to make space in her craft room for the new Cricut Maker she got for Christmas. That's always fun. Cool. Okay, so I do have a pre-recording that I made in Cricut Design Space about cut settings because that's mainly when you're talking about cutting vinyl on a Cricut Maker, the main nuance that you're going to find there is the different cut settings. So I did a short recording telling you guys what I like to use for cut settings on my Cricut Maker. So we will roll that here in just a minute. But before we do that, I need your help with deciding where I want to go with this project. So this is a blank that I got from the Target dollar spot. It was $3, and it was sometime last year. It's really old, so I don't know if you'll be able to find it again. But I'm going to be making a little Valentine sign. So I think I have like Lover's Lane, Cupid Court, and Valentine Avenue or something like that. And we're going to be using some of my DIY Alex patterned glitter vinyl as well as regular vinyl to go on this sign. But my question, where I need your input, is do you think that we should paint the sign first? Should these be red and pink? And I originally was super gung-ho on painting them, but after looking at it, I'm going to be using 3 different colors of glitter vinyl. So I'm going to have a red one, a pink one, and a purple one. And I'm not actually sure that the paint will look as good as I thought it did. So I might just leave everything plain, and we might just work it into the wood as it is. So let me know in the comments, do you think I should paint? Paint or no paint, basically, is the question. Because I have some StarCraft chalk paint both in red and blush. And I can always add in a white on one. That's why I eliminated white, because I'm doing an offset around all the vinyl. Because as a best practice goes, it's always good to use an offset with pattern vinyl, especially this glitter pattern vinyl that's a little bit see-through. So we're going to have a white offset around everything, which is why I didn't want to paint one of my signs white. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about paint or no paint. You guys are saying no. Okay. Jill says no paint. Katie says no paint. Okay, cool. Well, that makes things easier. So we'll just go ahead and go with no paint. And this makes this project a lot faster. So that always is a good thing. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the recording. So this is something I pre-recorded in Design Space for you. Yeah, you guys are all with me. You're like, no paint. Okay, cool. Good. Well, I'm glad we're on the same page. You guys always have the best brain for me to pick. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the Design Space pre-recording that I had for you. And so I'm going to be muted during that part, but you'll hear the audio that I recorded in the video, if that makes sense. So it won't be my live voice, but it was my voice like literally 15 minutes ago. But if you have any questions or anything, drop them in the comments. And then when we come back together, we'll actually cut all of this out. All right, give me just a moment here. We'll get started.
So let's talk about some tips for cutting vinyl on your Cricut Maker. Now, I already have my text all set up here along with my offset, because mostly with cutting vinyl when it comes to your Cricut Maker, it's going to be almost like any other Cricut machine. But I wanted to show you some of my favorite cut settings because I know different machines operate a little bit differently. So I wanted to offer you a few suggestions, and you may have to tweak them depending on the age of your Cricut Maker, how sticky your mat is, how new your blade is, and things like that. But I always find it really helpful to have a starting point. So that's what I want to offer you today. So you're going to go ahead and get all of your text or images ready. And then of course, when you're ready to cut, you'll click the green Make It button. And then we'll double check that everything is going to cut on all of the correct mats, and they are. So then I'll click the Continue button. And after my Cricut Maker 3 connects, we can talk about the best cut settings to use. So I'm going to be cutting regular StarCraft HD, which is permanent vinyl, and then I'm also going to be cutting some glitter vinyl today. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the Browse All Materials menu, and then I'm going to show you some of my favorite cut settings. So in the past, I've used the plain vinyl cut setting, but I'm actually not sure that this is still on the Cricut Maker anymore. The plain vinyl setting, oh, yep, it is all the way at the bottom. This is closer to what the vinyl cut setting is on the Cricut Explore Air 2. So at this point, when I cut permanent vinyl on my Cricut Maker, I usually use the premium vinyl settings. Now, of course, premium vinyl is referring to the Cricut brand of vinyl, but as long as you get pretty close in the type of vinyl that you're cutting, I find that it works just as well. So most of the time, whether my vinyl is glossy or matte, it doesn't really matter. I usually use the premium vinyl permanent glossy cut setting. So I would say that's my number one vinyl cut setting when it comes to your everyday types of vinyl. I typically don't change it when I have a matte finish, but you can experiment and see if you get better results with the removable matte. But the other cut setting that I want to alert you to vinyl that I think is really, really game changing is the glitter vinyl cut setting. Whenever I am cutting a specialty type of vinyl, including glitter vinyl or holographic vinyl, a lot of times I use the glitter vinyl cut setting. And in fact, I'll choose this cut setting, and then a lot of times from the drop-down menu, I'll select more pressure. So glitter vinyl more pressure is what I use on all of my patterned glitter vinyl, any of the StarCraft holographic vinyl, and that's what I use on pretty much every brand of specialty vinyl. So hopefully those cut setting tips will help you when you're deciding what's best for you. But like I said, keep in mind that you may have to alter this depending on the specific situations that work well for your machine, including the state of your mat, the state of your blade, and every machine cuts differently. Also keep in mind that as Cricut Design Space continues to update, sometimes the pressure will be thrown off through these updates in Design Space. So you always want to do a test cut if you are cutting a really large project or you only have a limited amount of vinyl.
Hey y'all, we are back. So hopefully that Design Space preview kind of gave you an idea of the cut settings that I like best on the Cricut Maker. But if anybody else has a preference, I'd love to hear it in the comments. And really, I guess this is a part of our Cricut Maker series because I wanted to make it that way. But when you really think about it, this really isn't Maker exclusive. This is pretty much any Cricut machine applicable. So hopefully that was helpful. Oh, good. You guys are just chatting. Okay. So let me go ahead and send you guys overhead and we will go ahead and get started with cutting our vinyl. Let's see, I'll stick myself over here to the side. So the first mat that I'm going to cut is just the plain white matte StarCraft HD, and that is what I'm going to put as my offset around the outside of my glitter vinyl. And you guys will see how important it is that we have an offset around this glitter vinyl because all of the glitter like silvery sections are transparent. So it's super important that we have some color behind them so that they're still easy to read. You'll also notice that I used a really, really plain font. I used one of my favorites, which is Babus New. I actually forgot to link it for you guys in the description, but it's a free font. So you should be able to find it pretty much anywhere. And the reason I use such a plain font is because I wanted to make sure that you could see the pattern really well. So before we cut this, let me show you guys a little bit about these patterns and then we'll get into cutting. So maybe you guys are new around here, so I'll go ahead and give you the full orientation. One of my favorite things in life is pattern vinyl. I love pattern vinyl because I think it's super fun. It adds such great dimension to your projects. It adds so much interest and it really just takes it up a notch. So I have tons of pattern vinyl and I did it all in partnership with 143 Vinyl. So I did link my pattern vinyl down in the description below if you guys want to shop all of my patterns. Everything is available there. It's actually available in adhesive vinyl and HTV. So make sure that you click on the adhesive vinyl listings if you want to grab regular vinyl, or if you want HTV, of course, HTV is available too. But last Valentine's Day, we took a classic pattern of mine, which is this one. It's called All the Hearts. And originally we released it in a super light pink. And I have one of those too, but I put that sheet away. I'll show you what it looks like originally. And in fact, I'm slacking. I'm almost out of my, my own All the Hearts pattern. Well, I think I had it out. I had it out at some point. What did I do with it? Oh, I stuck it under here. So this was the original All the Hearts when my pattern collection launched. It's just a really cute pattern full of open hearts and closed hearts, and it came in this light pink. Well, last Valentine's Day, we got this great idea to launch it not only in some different colors, but also to launch it in glitter colors. And I hope that the camera does it justice because it's really hard to see sometimes. But it now comes in purple, red, and bright pink. And this is going to be the glitter pattern that we're going to be using today. And you can tell when you lift it up that all of like the silver areas are going to be transparent. So you can really see it better when you peel the corner back. Let me show you in the light there that it's really super see-through. So that's why it's important to have an offset behind it. So we're going to do that offset in white to ensure that all the hearts and stuff behind it look white. So this is the purple, this is the red, and this is the bright pink. They all look the same when you get them up close to each other. But if you're not a glitter vinyl person, or if you don't like weeding glitter vinyl, or whatever the case may be, these are also all available in matte StarCraft HD. So the OG light pink one is just plain all the hearts, and it's on glossy StarCraft HD. But I have the bright pink, the red, and the purple also available in just matte StarCraft HD if you don't want the glitter. So that's a little refresher on my patterns in case you're new around here. Because I launched those last year, so I'm sure many of you have joined us since then. Oh my goodness, hold on. I gotta go get that spammer again. Hopefully the messages are hidden. But I'll let this start cutting. So this is the StarCraft HD that I'm cutting first. And I chose the Cricut Permanent Premium Vinyl setting. So even though this is a matte vinyl, not a permanent vinyl, I don't really find that I get any better results with the matte removable. So I just use the permanent premium setting for everything. So I'll go ahead and let these cut. And then while this is working, I will go ahead and go shut down another spammer. I hate that we're at the point that I have a bunch of spammers on my live because that just makes it way less fun for everyone. No fun at all. All right, so after my Maker 3 measures my mat, then it's ready to cut. So I'll go ahead and let it get started. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I hate when that happens. Thanks, Dee. I'm glad you like it, and welcome. Mary said, I have a difficult time with letters turning out on vinyl. Is there a setting that turns out better? I usually use premium vinyl setting. So that's a great question, Mary. So on regular StarCraft HD, I also use the premium vinyl setting, but for glitter vinyl, is that what you're talking about here, right? Oh, you're thinking vinyl in general. Well, Mary, I would think that if you're having trouble with your vinyl in general, instead of adjusting the cut setting, you might want to try a stickier mat. So this is a fairly new standard grip mat, and I would recommend using one like that and seeing if that helps over the letters, over changing the cut setting, because typically that should work. But your next step up would be the glitter vinyl setting. And then I usually in the drop-down menu like to use the more pressure option to get through with glitter vinyl, but it may work on your vinyl as well. Because the thing about me recommending cut settings is that these are my best practices that work for me, but they might not always work for you. And that's totally okay. There's nothing wrong with either one. It's just that different blades, different machines, some are stronger than others. Sometimes your mat might be more sticky or less sticky, and all of that makes a difference in the cut setting that you use. Catherine said, is the mat still transparent like the glitter? So no, Catherine, the mat is printed on a white base, so there's no transparency in the mat. Thanks, Roseanne. I appreciate you and welcome. Catherine said, is the message... Oh, sorry, I already answered that one. Okay, good. Okay, cool. So now that this is finished, we'll go ahead and unload it. And we'll go ahead and start with the glitter vinyl, but I have to go adjust my cut settings, and I have my laptop over on my desk. I didn't want to crowd my table up today with a bunch of devices, so I didn't bring my laptop over, but I might regret that. Hang on. Let me go change the cut setting to see which one I need to put on my mat first. Okay, so I'm going to use glitter vinyl. With more pressure. And because the next couple of mats are going to be because the next couple of mats are going to be the same cut setting, I went ahead and checked the button to say, remember material cut settings. So we're going to start with the red. I'm just going based on my mats over there. And even though I don't need the whole thing on my mat, I'll still go ahead and stick it down. So we'll start there. Hey, Roseanne. Yeah, I'm glad you made it. Good deal. So while that's measuring and cutting, I'll go ahead and start cutting out all of my white vinyl offsets because they all cut out together. So I'll kind of go off to the side here and cut these pieces off. And then I grabbed some parchment paper so that I can layer them nicely onto our sign. And I hate when I can't give you guys like a source for something. So I'm sorry I can't give you a link to this cute little, like, I don't know, little yard sign thing. I never know what these things are called, but it was just cute from the Target dollar spot and I never used it. Okay, I'm trying to see where the different pieces are, and I probably should have drug them apart a little bit because they are awfully close together. There. So that's one of them. And then I'll probably just weed these two before I cut it apart because I would hate to cut my vinyl and mess it up. Oh, thanks, Dee. I figured we'd go ahead and shift into Valentine's Day mode since we're after Christmas now. Okay, and I did the red pattern with the words Lover's Lane, and I think it's going to be super cute. I'm so excited. Let me cut this out while I can see it, because you guys might know this and you might not. If you're working with glitter vinyl, I have found the best trick is overhead light. So I'm tilting the vinyl into my studio lights, which there's one right over in that direction. So I'm tilting my sheet of vinyl in that direction so that it makes it easier to see. And then the next one is going to be the pink one. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on my mat. And I'm trying to make sure that the hearts are in approximately the same direction. So hopefully they will look consistent across the board. Catherine said, my New Year's resolution is to catch all of Alex's live videos. I hope you can, Catherine. I hope you can. I would love to have you. Kristen said, off-topic question, does it matter the width of your heat tape for sublimation? I don't think so, Kristen. I have been using like the thicker ones just because that's what I happen to have on hand. But no, I think you can use any width of heat tape that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of weed these while that's cutting. And then I got to grab any of these little bits that cut out between the letters. And yeah, I know we didn't get a chance to catch it very long because I just dove right in, but I hope you guys had a great new year. Hopefully year 2023 has started off great. I'm looking for all my little pieces here. They're a little tricky. I just really use that light a lot. And I have kind of an unpopular opinion when it comes to like light pads. I don't find light pads super helpful in general. I have a couple actually, and I typically find that overhead light is easier for me to weed with than light from the back. But I mean, it depends on the person, of course, and your preferences. But I literally like to have the brightest light possible. Like here in my craft room, I have daylight light bulbs, and I always have my studio lights. And so sometimes when I'm really struggling to weed, I turn those on. I am definitely all about the overhead light. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't mixing up my mats. Which I guess it doesn't really matter because they're all Valentine's colors, but consistent. I had a thought process when I was picking them all, so I figured I'd try to keep it consistent. Okay, so we have 2 of our offsets weeded, and I'll cut those apart momentarily. I just need to do this last one. And I think I talked about this before. I talked about using like a simpler font, but I also used Babus New because Babus New is nice and thick, so you're still able to see the pattern. If you were to use something like a script font, honestly, I don't think you'd be able to see the pattern very well. So I recommend if you're gonna go fancy, like with a pattern vinyl or something, that you go fancy in only one way at a time. So if you're gonna go fancy, let's say with the, with the pattern vinyl, then we're gonna use a simple, nice and wide font, and we're gonna use an offset that's just white. We're not gonna get too crazy with anything else. If you decide to go with a script font, then you'd wanna use a color that has really good contrast with the background. And if you choose to go fancy with the font, then you don't wanna go fancy in other ways. So let me know if that makes sense. Hopefully that helps. But that's a really big issue that I see for beginners when they are trying to create something that everyone, that's like really, I don't know the word I'm looking for. I guess like visually pleasing, is that you only want to get fancy with one element at a time. Don't try to use pattern vinyl and a script font, and go super fancy with the color. You want to make sure there's plenty of contrast, and just keep it simple otherwise. And y'all know I can't resist some pattern vinyl, which is the other reason why we're using it today, because I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And I want you guys to have time to be able to actually make these pattern vinyl projects for Valentine's Day. Because I know that if we do it too close to Valentine's Day, at least for me, I never get stuff done if it's too close. I'm much more likely to get it done if I have plenty of time to do it. So that's another reason why I was like, all of this makes total sense for today. There we go. Okay. So now we just need to weed each of these, and I have all of my offsets cut out. And that's pretty much it, cutting it on the Maker. Catherine said, is that font in Design Space? No, it is not, Catherine. You'll just want to Google it. It's BEBASNUEUE. Like Kristen posted it. Yeah, is the font spelled Babus New? That's it. That is definitely my favorite. Dee says overhead light by far also. You're with me. And so does Connie. And Amber. I agree. I agree. And Renee too. So you guys are all with me. Oh, thanks, Dee. Yes, if you guys have a chance to like this video, it's super helpful. Thank you. Okay. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and... Nope. Whoops. Zoom in a little so y'all can see what I'm working on here. Okay. So now we'll go ahead and weed these other pieces, and then we'll be able to apply them to our sign. So I'm going to use my pin pen in case you guys are new around here. This is my favorite weeding tool. It's called the Pin Pen Weeding Tool, and you can get them from 143 Vinyl. And I have to admit, I did cheat a little bit recently because for the first time ever, I decided to try ordering pin pens from Amazon in some different colors and things like that, and they're like really cute. So, of course, we're never not going to support 143 Vinyl, but I'm just saying there are some really cute options on the internet if you want some different colors. And just as I told you guys to use the glitter vinyl setting, this is not cut very well. So remember when I told you that sometimes updates make it really, really tough to determine the pressure? It looks like that might be the case for our good old glitter vinyl setting. Maybe we can still do it since my fonts are really, or like my letters are really simple. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but it's definitely like taking a lot of me easing the cut off of out of the sheet. Like I kind of have to punch it through, which I really dislike. So we might have to figure out a different cut setting. Yep. See, that's a little too difficult. So this is my rule of thumb. Probably not everyone is like this, but I am super impatient when it comes to weeding. So if things don't work, I just like to fix them. I'm just like, nope, okay, we'll do something else. So let me grab my laptop and let's troubleshoot live some different cut settings that we can use. Hang on. We'll do it together. Okay. Definitely that's not how I thought this was gonna go, but that's what going live sometimes is. That's what it turns into. So I'm gonna go into Cricut Design Space. And you know what, guys? I don't know if I know how to share my laptop with you for a screen capture. So we might just have to talk through it. Let's see. I'm not sure how to say your name. Wania, maybe, said, got my Cricut for Christmas and I have so much trouble with getting my vinyl to transfer smoothly over from the backing to the transfer tape. Is there any tips or tricks you have for a beginner? I will definitely get to that here really soon. And one of them is the actual brand of transfer tape. That makes a big, big difference. Ooh, Roseanne said, did I find the pin pens with a light in them? I did not. That sounds really cool though. Renee said, lately I have had to use more pressure and run through twice for cutting glitter vinyl. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, we might have to give that a try. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do to troubleshoot this. In fact, I don't know. Let me see if I can share my screen with you guys. That's not something that I've done here from my iPad before. That is not to say that we couldn't try it. Let me see. We'll do a little test and see if we can do that. So I have the program called SwitcherCast. Connect to your computer. Yep. Okay. Display one. Let's try this one, maybe. I'm gonna close it down and reopen it. Sorry guys, give me just a moment to troubleshoot this. I'd love to be able to show you guys in real time how I do this, but I'm not so sure that I know how. So we're gonna give it a try. I'm gonna see if I can connect my laptop screen. 192.168. Technology is fun until it's not. Okay, let's try it. Can you see? Oh, you can! Whoa, you guys, this is cool. Okay, hold on. So this one, no, we don't. Why does that say starting soon? What? Hold on, guys. It says that my computer says it's starting soon. It's not. Okay, there we go. Okay, so can you guys still hear me? Yeah, you can. How cool. Okay, so this is my desktop and we'll troubleshoot live what I would do when stuff like this happens. So these are all of my projects, and the first thing I would do is come back to my home screen, go to the basic shapes panel here and insert. I like to do this little bit thicker star. My star is my favorite shape for test cuts because it has lots of points on it, so I feel like it does a really good job of determining whether my cut settings are actually going to work really well or not. So I'm gonna take my star and I'm gonna resize it to 1 inch and make it really small. And I wanna make it a different color from everything else because I'm gonna put it on its own mat. Then I'm just gonna go back and click Make It. And then we'll go ahead and continue. And I'm only going to be working with this gray mat here. That's why I want it to be on its own mat all by itself. So once that connects, a lot of you guys were saying glitter vinyl, more pressure, and cut it twice. So we might try that. Thanks, Kristen. Oh gosh, I don't even know where the sweater's from. It's really old. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start. So the setting that I had before was glitter vinyl, more pressure. And what we'll do is we'll actually press the Cricut button 2 times. So let me see if I can get my my thing all set up for us. There we go. Look at that, you guys. How fancy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my mat in here. And what we're going to do is we're actually just going to press the Cricut button. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's probably just out of the frame. We're actually going to press it a second time. So we'll put it through to cut once, and then instead of unloading our mat, we'll press the Cricut button again, and that will give us a double cut. So we'll start with that, and I'll just start with my purple sheet of vinyl, either way. And we'll see if we can get this to cut correctly. Because I just personally don't like to fight with vinyl. Some people are a lot more frugal than me and don't want to waste a single material. You guys probably know if you've been around a while, I hate to weed. So I will do it because it gets my projects done, and that's important. But I would rather not fight it really hard. So if I can see that something is like a really big pain, I will just go ahead and find a different cut setting and recut it. Okay, so I'm gonna press the go button the first time. And we'll go ahead and let this cut. Luckily, it's just a star, so it should be really fast. And then we'll double cut it and see if that works better. You can also set your settings to double cut, which I can show you how to do. And I don't know if anyone else's machine is doing that like funny pause, but I am having it pause every single time now. Okay, so it cut my star really fast. So to double cut your stuff, if you're new, you do not unload your stuff, because once you unload, you can't cut the same project again, like in the same spot, because it will not line up correctly. So in order to do a double cut, what you do is you press the Cricut button or the middle button again, and it will cut in the exact same place on your mat. So I'm gonna try all of your trick and see if that works well for us. Hey Nicole, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you guys are here. Okay, so now that we've done a double cut, I'll go ahead and unload it. And I'm not even going to peel it off my mat. I'm just gonna try to weed it straight from my mat, and I'm gonna see how well it peels. I'm having trouble seeing those lines there. There we go. But let me see if I peel it from the corner, does it stay? Ooh, it does. You guys are right. Okay. So the glitter vinyl, more pressure, double cut seems to be working. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that little corner off of my purple mat. And then I'm going to recut everything, which I don't love to do because I don't love to waste my vinyl. But you know what? Sometimes stuff happens. And life's too short to cut crappy vinyl. Or crappy vinyl cut settings, I should say. Life's too short to fight your vinyl, at least for me. So, okay. So now that I figured that out, I'm going to go back to my purple mat, which is where I had it, and do the glitter vinyl, default more pressure, and I'm going to check the remember material settings button. And then what I need to do is I need to move my image. So now that I have this section cut out of my vinyl, I want the hearts to go in the same direction. So I'm gonna put my vinyl back on the mat like this. And then I'm gonna edit my mat and I'm gonna move my stuff down to the 2-inch mark on the mat. So let me know if that doesn't make sense to anyone, but I'll show you. So I'm gonna click edit. And I'm gonna take these words and I'm gonna move them down to the 2-inch line so that I can keep the same pattern, and then I'll click on the green done button. And now we're ready to cut again. So sometimes things don't work out, especially even for me. And I have to do them multiple times, whatever has to be done, you know? Okay. So there's cut number 1. Bye, Roseanne. See you soon. Kristen said, my only issue sometimes is test cuts cut fine, then the actual cut has the issue. That's true. And I would say that it probably has a lot to do with the difficulty of the cut, because sometimes the cut is a lot more intricate than the test. So if that's the case, Kristen, I wonder if you could like write out the word test. Say for example, it's text. Maybe instead of putting a star for your test cut, maybe you could use the same font that you're going to be using if it's like a really thin font, and then write the word test in your font and make it kind of small, and then see if that works any better for you. Because the thing is, you're right. Sometimes the star works really simply because it's a simple shape, but then in practice, the designs are not as simple, you know? Nicole said, I always check before I remove it. Yeah, I know, Nicole. That's true. And that's another tip for those of you who are new. I cannot see these lines like at all, so there's no way I could do that. But if you have a regular piece of vinyl, you can kind of take your weeding tool and check your vinyl before you unload it, because if it doesn't work, then you can press the go button again and you can do that double cut even if you weren't planning on it. So lots of cool strategies for saving your materials and things like that. Great idea, Nicole. That's really smart. So we'll hope that this works better. This is a little bit of a longer word, so if it works on this one, it should work on everything else. Okay. I'll switch things off my computer screen for now, just so that you guys aren't just watching my laptop the entire time, because that seems boring. But I can always switch it back if I need to. Glazer said, don't have a Maker, have an Explorer 3, but I'm watching anyway. And so I actually talked about this earlier. And I really think that this one's pretty applicable to whether or not you have a Maker. Later in the series, that might not be the case. But for this project, I really think that you will be just fine. Because we're basically talking about ways to cut vinyl. And though the Maker does have some special things about it, for cutting vinyl, it's pretty much the same as everything else. So before I go ahead and cut the others, I am going to go ahead and... yes, Kristen, that's true. Just as long as you hit the go button to do that double cut. I'm going to switch my screens here so that I'm the small one. There we go. And I'm going to weed this one piece first and make sure that this is actually working before I cut all the others out. That way, in case I need to do some further adjusting, I can do it without wasting a ton of material. So we'll try this one out and make sure that it's going to work. Oh, you guys, look. It's staying on the backing. So that's a really, really, really good sign. Yay! So, nope, that little E got stuck. But that means that we've made a lot of progress. And this is my longest word. So if anything didn't go well, I would rather, I would spend a little more time on this one than I would on the others. So still not perfect. I still have some pieces that are coming up and being a little bit stubborn. But overall, this is already a lot better than it was last time. So double cuts for the win. Oh, okay. I just did Valentine singular. I was looking for an S there, and it wasn't there. There. Yay! Okay, So since this is working, I'm gonna go ahead and continue cutting the other pieces, and then I can finish weeding this one. So next up on my computer screen is the red, and we're gonna edit that mat once again and move it down. Just need to find my red vinyl here. So I'll place it, and then same thing. I'm gonna edit my mat, and I'm gonna stick it down at the 2-inch mark so that it cuts in the right place. Okay. Yay. Well, I'm glad that we figured that out. And this isn't how I thought this video would take a turn, but now you guys have seen how I would really troubleshoot it if I was just in here crafting by myself. Okay. And just out of force of habit, please no one let me unload this before it's ready. Because sometimes, you guys know, as Kristen was saying, habits can be really strong, and all of a sudden you'll just unload it because that's what you're used to doing, and then it turns into a little bit of a mess. Okay, so now we have this done, and I'm going to take the white piece of vinyl that goes with this one, and I actually may go ahead and layer them before we put them on the sign. We'll see. Here's the other white piece, and then here's the third one. Luckily, the white StarCraft HD cut just fine. Nicole said, don't worry, I have a silhouette machine and I still love watching all the crafts. Oh, good, Nicole, that's good to know. Catherine said, move it over to the right. Yeah, in this case, I could have, Catherine, but either way. Agreed. Okay, so we're gonna press the Cricut button, not the unload button, and cut it again. Well, gosh, y'all, good thing we didn't try and paint this because that would have taken forever. But I'm gonna go ahead and throw these little pieces away because these are the pieces that were really hard to weed, and I don't wanna mix them up with the ones I'm about to cut. And I can go ahead and get my bright pink ready. This one is looking a little more shredded, so I'll have to be more careful with where I stick this one. This one I may move to the right so I can keep it a little bit more even because I need to order some more of this color. Oh, and my computer's getting ready to die, so I'll grab the computer charger. Oh my gosh, I don't know if this happened to anyone else anywhere else in the country, but y'all, we had the craziest rainstorm this morning. Like, really, it rained pretty much all night, but it was literally insane. Like, my entire neighborhood's trash cans got dislocated because the trash truck must have come really early, and so our trash cans were empty. And someone posted in our neighborhood Facebook group, they were like, hey, if you're missing your trash can, it's probably down here at the end of our street, because all of the trash cans had migrated there, and it was literally insane. Like, my husband waited and went into work a little bit late because the rain was that crazy. The wind was crazy. Like, it was just wild. And I was like, you know, honestly, of all the days, I feel like this makes sense. Okay, so I'm starting at the 7-inch mark, so that will be good. I won't cut anything off. I'll hit done on my mat now that it's placed, and we'll do one final double cut. And I can zoom us out a little now. Here we go. That's true, Kristen. She said the paint would have had time to dry. Jill said, does room temperature affect weeding vinyl? You know, I have not really noticed a huge difference, Jill, but I do think that if you were someone who had like a she shed out in your backyard and it was really hot or cold, I do think you probably would see some issues with your vinyl. Connie said, this is how to really learn. Nothing is perfect all the time. Amen, Connie, amen. And I want you guys to know that I am just a regular crafter. I know sometimes that because of my editor, she's amazing. I use a video editor for all of my edited YouTube videos. Sometimes it looks like things are a lot easier than they really are. But honestly, that's really not my goal, to give you guys that impression. I really want you to know, you know, sometimes videos need to be short because they just need to be short and sweet and to the point. But I want you to know that frequently I have to do things like this, just like everybody else. Sometimes it seems like everything just works out. I don't know where I saw somebody say this. It wasn't one of our people from here, from the Crafty Fam. It was on social media, maybe on TikTok or something. And they were like, everything's always easy for YouTubers, and, you know, everything always just works out for them. And I'm like, no, at least for me, that's not the case. I have just gotten really good over the years at troubleshooting. Things are not always easy. I'm just a little faster to pick up on it, and I know how to fix it because I've made lots and lots of mistakes of my own. In fact, going into 2023, I have been working with a Cricut for 7 years. Woo! 7 years, which sounds so crazy when I say it out loud, but that's how I've learned how to do all this stuff. Is I've just made mistakes and learned from them and tried to get better. Just like anybody else. Let me know in the comments, how long have you guys worked with a Cricut machine? And that's not, you know, no judgment, whether it's been really soon or a really long time, no judgment either way. But I'm just curious. Let me know in the comments how long you guys have worked with a Cricut machine. I'd love to hear. Okay, so that's our final piece, for real, which is great. I'll put that cover sheet back over so that it stays sticky for a nice long time. This is one of my cleaner, newer mats, so I'm gonna set it aside and see. Dee said, we had beautiful snow right before Christmas and so cold. I know, it was such crazy weather, it really was. Nicole said, we've had some crazy bad weather here in New Zealand as well. It's supposed to be summer. Oh my gosh, Nicole. Well, and it's so strange here because for us it's winter. So I'm in Kentucky. I live in Louisville, Kentucky, here in the United States. And it's supposed to be winter. And just before Christmas, in fact, we had to delay our travel plans for Christmas because we were supposed to leave the day before Christmas Eve. So it was like the 23rd. And it was -7 degrees. And with the wind chill, I think it was like -20. Like, it was literally insane. And the reason it was raining so hard is because it was 65 degrees this morning. And that's, of course, in Fahrenheit. So that might not make any sense for you, Nicole. But for us, it's typically like in the 30s, 40s. Sometimes like we'll have a week where like it's in the 50s. But for it to be 65 degrees in January and February are our coldest months of the year here. Like, that's literally insane. It's so crazy. Oh, I want to read these. You guys are, I'm so glad you told me. That's so cool. So let's see. Jill said we got 4.5 feet of snow in 3 days over Christmas. Yeah, I knew you were in Canada, Jill. Oh my gosh, 4.5 feet. Rebecca says, newbie, Tracy, 2 years, Mary, a year, Celine, 2 years now, Helen, 2 years, Bob, 1 year, 2 years for Amber. Hey, Amber, we're all still learning. Don't worry, girl. Marla says, newbie, congratulations and welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Nicole got her machine in March of this year. Okay. Kristen said 2 years at the end of April. Cool, cool. Amy says 13 years. That's amazing. Dee said 15 years. Lori says 2 years. That's so cool. Yeah, like Nicole, it really has been like really, really crazy and just really honestly strange. Luckily, we were still able to go see my husband's family for Christmas because that's what we were planning on doing. But like it got so cold that our heat pump shut off. And I ended up, oh no. Don't do this to me, vinyl. What did this one say? Cupid. Okay. So I got my U stuck here. We were planning to go see my husband's family for Christmas, but like it was so cold, our heat pump shut off. And I called the repair guy and I was like, hey, I know probably everybody in the area is calling you right now, but I don't really know what to do. And he was like, well, and maybe you guys didn't know this. I don't know if you did or not. But at least the heat pump that we have an American Standard heat pump. Heat pumps automatically shut off when they detect -7 degrees Fahrenheit. So our heat pump was actually working fine. It just detected temperatures so cold that it shut off so that it didn't sustain damage. And that's when I learned that. When I called our HVAC guy. Hold on. I got an R here that's really being stubborn. Can you guys see that? Sorry, I forgot. I was holding it really close to me so I could look at it. Okay. Let's do some surgery, y'all. Because I really don't want to recut this. This has really been the day of recuts. Come on, little vinyl. Come on, stuck there. Okay, I think I see the problem. Can we get it? Okay, I'm going to lift my R up. And... okay, she's a little funky, but we got it off. We got the rest of the stuff off. So I think that's close enough. Yeah, okay. Sweet. Okay, we're really close, y'all. This is how it goes. Really simple project, takes an hour. It was probably supposed to take like 20-30 minutes of just cutting vinyl, weeding it, and now it's been an hour, but hey, that's okay. It's real life for you. There we go. And honestly, I guess I should probably just say this in case you guys don't know as beginners, but glitter vinyl is just tricky. Even with the best cut settings, even on the best day, it is definitely more difficult to work with glitter vinyl than it is with other types of vinyl. Now, that doesn't make it bad because sometimes you want a look that only glitter vinyl can achieve, right? So like it's worth doing things a little differently. But sometimes it's just a pain. That's just how it goes. Okay, so we were talking earlier about, oh my gosh, another spammer. Ugh, hold on. Pause. This person is like really getting crazy. Thanks, Dee. Let's see. Connie says, our heat and cooling man says to switch the heat pump to emergency heat. Yeah, Connie, and it did run on emergency heat. So, like, we still had heat in our house. We also have a gas fireplace. So, we were super lucky that we had one gas appliance. So, we were still fine. It just was crazy. I did not realize that that was the case. Oh my gosh, Amy, it was -45 in South Dakota. What? That's literally crazy. Marlene says, haven't opened the box. That's okay, Marlene. It takes a little time to get some courage, but I'm glad that you're here. That's super cool. You're right. And Buffalo was hit really hard too. I remember Buffalo, New York had some people even like die in the storm. It was crazy. Don't be scared, Marlene. I think my number one advice, if you're talking about... oh, did I forget transfer tape? Alex. Hang on, guys. My transfer tape's across the room. Then we're going to layer this vinyl, and I'll show you how I'll do that using parchment paper. Marlene, my number one advice would be to make things with, like, knowing that you're going to be patient. So knowing that this is going to be your first project, expect it to take a while, and give yourself tons of patience and tons of grace to get it done. Because you don't want to put yourself under a ton of pressure and take away all the fun. Okay. transfer tape. Hold on, y'all. Sorry. I'm out of the camera looking for it. Okay, well, we're going to use our StarCraft transfer tape. I feel like I put it over here. Maybe that's why I can't find it. I don't know. Y'all, your girl's a hot mess, but that's okay. Anyway, so just plan to take a lot of time. Plan to take plenty of time on your project and try not to do it under a deadline. Yeah, you can definitely calibrate your machine and take your time learning the software. And yes, Mr. Crafty Pants is an amazing channel as well. Absolutely. He is a great, great, great resource for learning your Cricut. Okay, so now you can see that I have a layer on the top, and then this layer behind it, that's a little thicker, is called an offset. And anytime that you work with a pattern vinyl, I recommend doing an offset whenever possible because it just makes it a lot easier to read the actual pattern, especially if you're doing text like we are in this case. It's so much easier to read if you have an offset behind it. So that's why I have an offset for all 3 of my projects today. So, yeah, I can fit that in right there. Good deal. Okay, so I linked the clear medium tack transfer tape in my video description. This is very similar, but it is slightly different. This is the StarCraft medium tack transfer tape, and I think it's a little stickier than the medium tack, which makes it a little bit tougher to work with. Now, I still think it's a good thing. I don't think any of it's bad, but I do think it's a little tougher to work with. So if you're a newbie, I would go look for the transfer tape in my video description because it's a little simpler to work with. So now I have my vinyl all on transfer tape, and I'm going to cut these 3 pieces apart. And then I'm going to show you how I'm going to layer them onto my offset. So to do this, I'm going to be using parchment paper. If you're from across the pond, you may call this baking paper. And this is what I'm going to use to layer my vinyl so that I can make sure that everything is nice and even. And I do this really, really often, actually. It works out really, really well because it allows my vinyl to be repositionable. If you don't use a barrier in between your If you don't use a barrier in between your 2 layers of vinyl, once you stick them down together, you will be stuck. So I like to use parchment paper to make my vinyl repositionable. So I'm going to take the layer that I want on top that now has the transfer tape on top of it, and I burnished it, which means I applied pressure to it. And now I'm going to remove the backing of the vinyl. And instead of sticking it straight to the offset, I'm going to go ahead and stick it first to the parchment paper, and I'm going to let the top of the the top of the transfer tape stick over the top of the parchment paper. Do you guys see that? So there's a bit of a stripe at the top that is sticking off the top, and that's how I want it. Because I want to go ahead and layer this over top of my offset layer, but because I'm using parchment paper, as you can see, I have plenty of room to reposition if necessary. So let me scoot my Cricut back a little bit. Now we'll have a little more room to work. Okay, so now I can reposition my vinyl exactly where I want it. So, and I can also see through the parchment paper, which allows me to get it in exactly the right spot. So I moved it around and I found my sweet spot for my offset. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that top stripe of transfer tape and I'm going to stick it to my table. Then once it's stuck to the table, I'm going to lift up the transfer tape and the top layer of vinyl like this. I'm going to pull the parchment paper out, and then I'm slowly going to lower my vinyl on top. And that way, I know exactly where I'm placing everything, and it's going to go in exactly the right spot. And now I'm going to leave this here until I'm ready to place it on my sign. So next up, I'm gonna do the same thing with Lover's Lane. I've got transfer tape over top of my vinyl and I've burnished it. Then I'm going to peel the backing off of my vinyl, my glitter vinyl. And I'll try to show you guys up a little bit closer. You can really see how transparent this vinyl is. Like if I put my hand behind it, it's a lot more transparent than typical vinyl would be. So that's why it's so helpful to have an offset. Okay, so now I'm gonna add the parchment paper once again behind my vinyl. And I'm gonna make sure that it's well applied there with a stripe of my transfer tape sticking out at the top. Then I'm gonna position my vinyl like this. And I can move it around and re-stick it as many times as I want to because the parchment paper is amazing and it allows me to do that. Then when I'm ready, I'll stick down that top stripe, pull up on the top layer of vinyl, pull out my parchment paper, and then I'll just slowly lower it down. And then to really solidify that, I'm gonna take my scraper tool and scrape one more time. And there you have it. So the parchment paper method just makes all of your layering a lot easier because the parchment paper trick didn't come out until a couple of years ago. And so for the first several years that I used vinyl, I just had to always wing it. And it definitely does not work as well. Wania said it's hard to get different brands of transfer tape because I'm in Sweden. Yeah, that does make sense. I'm sure that there's a lot less available. That's a good point, Kristen. I would say your next best bet, besides Cricut, would be Caesar. Caesar, their main company is in Italy, so I don't know if that helps. Because, yeah, 143 does not ship outside of Canada. So, unfortunately, that might not be an option for you. But, yeah, that's a great point, Kristen. And Cricut transfer tape works well too. I'm not saying necessarily that it doesn't, but I think there are some brands that are a little bit easier to work with, including like the Caesar and the stuff that I'm using today. Okay. So look real close at this one. And I designed this offset in Cricut Design Space, so I have some other videos on that if those of you who are new need to see how I did it. But Cricut Design Space, oh gosh, guys, I really did not do a very good job of that. Oh man, that did not end up very even at all. But you know what? That's okay. We're gonna go with it. I apparently couldn't see very well because I did not transfer that down very well, but that's okay. So now what I'm gonna do is it's time to apply this to my sign. And again, if you guys are just now joining us, I got this sign from the Target dollar spot. So Target is like I don't know, it's a chain big box store here in the US. And with the Target dollar spot, I can't really link it for you guys, but it's just one of those cute little garden signs that has like different things pointing different ways. And I was gonna put a different one on each of these. But what I wanted to show you is if I peel the backing off of, I wonder if I can get this off. Nope, no chance. Okay. Once I peel the backing off of both layers of vinyl, I can use the parchment paper once again to place my vinyl onto my actual sign, which is so helpful. That way, you don't spend all this time on your vinyl sign and then mess up where you put it and then feel like you have to do it again. So this time, I'm going to put the parchment paper a little bit lower. And some of the vinyl is sticking out on the top so that I can stick it to the wood when I have it in the right spot. So yeah, I placed that super crooked, but that's okay. We're going to go with it, guys, because that's just the kind of day that today is. So once I have this where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and smooth this down like this because I have that top stripe exposed above the parchment paper, and then I'm going to pull out my parchment paper and place down my transfer tape. Now, with wood, especially unsealed wood like this, I can try just using my scraper tool to smooth it down. But sometimes that's not enough when it comes to unsealed wood. So we'll try this, and actually it's working great. But some other tricks if you have trouble with getting your vinyl to stick to unsealed wood is you can use things like tennis balls, or even like if you have your child's like bouncy ball, like a rubber ball, you can just run that along the vinyl with the transfer tape on top, and that will really help push it into the wood itself. So maybe we'll do Lover's Lane at the top, and then Valentine Avenue, and then Cupid Court here at the bottom. I think I like that a little better. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up these last two. And then I'm going to have to roll because I'm headed to Bible study tonight. So I got to go make some quick dinner. Okay. So we're just going to repeat this same process of centering our design using the parchment paper first. I think that looks about right. I like where that's at, so I'm going to smooth down this top section, pull up on the transfer tape, and then ease it down. Let me grab my vinyl ball that I used to do this, and I'll show you guys how I get it to stick. So 143 vinyl actually carries like a larger bouncy ball that you can use to do this on your vinyl and transfer tape. But if you don't have one of these handy, like I said, a tennis ball or like your child's bouncy ball will really help you to work the vinyl into the wood. Especially unsealed wood. Like once it's painted or sealed, it does become a little bit easier, but unsealed wood is super porous, and that's what makes it a little bit tricky. So that's why we use tricks like the bouncy balls to get them to stay. Yeah, they do have their vinyl ball, exactly. Oh, that's true, Renee. It does kind of look 3D. Connie said, did you find this sign recently? So Connie, I think I got this. I think I got it in spring of 2021, but I'm not positive. So hopefully when they come out with their spring stuff, this next, like for Valentine's Day and stuff, they might have another one of these. Sorry guys, hang on, I have to sneeze. Sorry about that. Oh, good for you, Kristen. She said dinner's half ready. I just need to bake it. I'm making a spaghetti, so it should be pretty quick. Kristen said, I'm waiting until Epiphany for my Christmas tree. I'm not ready to take it down yet. We actually we just took our tree down last night, and I need to finish my decor. Probably, how do I have this going again? Oh yeah, okay. I'm probably gonna finish my stuff tomorrow. I took the tree down, my husband and I took the tree down together, and then I'll finish all the other stuff like tomorrow. I kind of wasn't ready for it either, but at the same time, like, I don't know about you guys, but I always have glitter all over my living room whenever I have my Christmas tree out. So as much as I was not ready for my Christmas tree to go away, I was ready to stop vacuuming up glitter. So I was like, just take it down. Like, we're done. We're done. Christmas is done. It's 65 degrees outside. Like, definitely does not feel like Christmas. Definitely not. Okay. So we push down with the vinyl ball. And our last step is just to peel off the transfer tape. And actually, I think that little bit stickier transfer tape in this case worked really, really well with the glitter vinyl, because glitter vinyl can be a little bit more stubborn than regular vinyl. So of all of the types of transfer tape to use with glitter vinyl, this probably is pretty good one. Thanks, Tracy. Ooh, you guys talking about your dinner? Ooh, yum, Kristen, mac and cheese. My mother-in-law makes the best gluten-free mac and cheese, and it's so good. Renee's making pasta too. Oh, thanks, Dale and Dee. Renee said I'm still watching and avoiding chores. I feel that. I feel that. Oh, good. I'm glad that that was helpful. Wayne said the problem is not getting it off the transfer tape and onto the surface. It's actually getting it from the backing and onto the transfer. So it sounds like if you have if you're having issues mainly with the background, then you probably want to modify your cut settings a little bit. You might actually have it be cutting a little bit too deep. That could be the problem with getting it off the backing of your vinyl. But there's our sign up a little closer. I don't know how well you guys can see the glitter on this. It's making it super pretty, but the camera just doesn't pick it up, you know, quite as well as our eyes do. This honestly turned out so cute, you guys, and I love it not painted. Good for us for not painting it. So that's our final project, and that was it should have been a little quicker than it was, not gonna lie, but it was still pretty easy. Once we got the cut settings right, it was easy peasy lemon squeezy. Thank you, Dee. Jill said I'm watching it work. Shh. We won't tell anyone, Jill. Amber said taco salad. Ooh, that's a good one. I just had tacos last night. Otherwise, I was going to make tacos too. All right. Let me send it back to our regular screen. I'll say goodbye, and we will wrap things up, my friends. Now you can see a little bit of my mess from our craft today, but here's our craft from a little bit further away, kind of give you some perspective. It's not super big, but this would be super cute displayed in like a flower pot with like some pot filler or like some vase filler. This would be really, really cute Valentine's Day decor. So hopefully you guys are inspired to try something fun and something to do with your pattern vinyl if you're like me and you love to buy pattern vinyl, but you don't always know what you're going to do with it. Thank you so much, guys. I'm so glad you like it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this afternoon and for all of your input because I had the best time. But if you haven't already, please make sure that you like this video and don't forget to subscribe to DIY Alex for more videos every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Some of them are live like this, but a lot more of them are going to be premieres where the video is pre-recorded and I'm in the live chat answering your questions. All right, I love you guys, all the hearts, and I'll see you next time. Bye.